This is
I'm
stuff.
glad
you-
it's not my computer. being
I
used.
had this, I mean, I did the same thing right away, so.
Yeah, it's like,
All
okay,
right, so we talked
Yeah.
about launch and you talked about entering however many hard
Mhm.
copies we get. Can we talk for a minute about, first of all, there is a difficulty that the question numbers on the renter survey differ from the question numbers on the homeowner
Mhm.
survey. So when she says she's gonna map for us how to enter the renter responses,
No.
we have to be,
everything. So the hard copy surveys are numbered differently than the online. So what you're logging them into is different, and that doesn't matter the details, because it's really, it just, I will give you.
But
a
if you
map.
look at the question.
So are we gonna have,
And not the number.
Yeah.
so who's in, I'm happy to enter the hard copy.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm saying I'll do them all. I'm saying I'll do them all. So if you guys wanna give them to me, just rather than explaining it to
Okay.
7 people, it makes more, I'm happy, and then someone can check my work or whatever.
that's
but-
awesome. We will have the boxes out for approximately 6 weeks. I think Ellen or I will go by each of the drop-off places once a week and pick
Sure.
them up.
If you need help with that, just reach out.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
so I'm happy, it's not hard. It's just like, for example, when you ask. No, never mind, it just,
Yeah.
it's,
If you look at the question stem,
one of the questions is not, doesn't work, the options are different for renters versus homeowners.
Mhm.
And I can't remember which one it
Okay.
is, but
I think,
I
We'll
thought
work through
it.
it.
Anyway, and then we get to the point where we close the survey, everything's been entered, and presumably all of the data then gets dumped into an Excel file.
Well, we can download, just Kristen can download for us an Excel spot file at any point.
Yeah, it'll be
At
interesting to
any
look at it.
point,
In
okay?
fact, we should look at it early
it's
on and make
good,
sure the
great.
data is generally looking okay.
Yeah,
it also could catch if we didn't notice something.
Something
that's-
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that like everyone's skipping some question because we forgot to double click that it needs to be
Yeah.
required, or like whatever. I'm sure we looked at a
And
million
though,
times.
I think one-
and accidents happen.
Yeah, and we can, so you can put it in Excel, put it in a pivot table.
Yep.
You know pivots, right?
Mhm.
And then it's pretty easy to go, blank, 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 analyze it.
well,
But-
we should probably talk in the meeting, in
Absolutely,
open
that's
meeting,
the
like,
point.
what are the breakouts we'd like to see? What are the
Mhm.
distributions we'd like to
Yes,
see?
and then we can, and really the data is public. I mean, we don't own it. It's really a
Sure,
public
sure.
database.
Yeah, I think if we can target maybe 100 responses and then do a look, I think that'd be good.
Mhm.
Sure.
To see if the data's. I was looking, make sure this looked fine.
Ellen, do you have a way to get onto the database?
I
or is that
called, I
only
emailed Kristen. That's how I get it. So she said anytime.
Okay.
Basically, I could do it,
You wait a week or something like that.
wait a week and do it, like, and just keep updating, just, and not in terms of here's the conclusions, but here's the stats. Here's how many homeowners, here's how many renters, here's the age distribution, all kinds of stuff like that.
And I love the idea of monitoring as we go, because
Yes.
we want to keep putting the word out
Yeah.
to our respective communities. Hey, did you get?
Oh,
the post?
that's a good idea. We
Yeah.
could have,
Oh, yeah.
like, we've gotten blank 100 responses.
I mean, we could even write a letter to the bridge and
right.
say, so
Oh, I love
far,
it.
so good, however.
Actually, the league suggested that.
Mhm.
Emily's the league. but-
What is our either two ways, one fun way, one more academic way? What what is our what does success look like? Like, what are we hoping for in terms of N? I think that's like just nice to have to stop, like, okay, I mean, whether we meet it or not, there's.
The
sort of
town
gotten our
meeting study
control.
committee got between 1,200 and 1,500.
I'm gonna say
responses.
1,000 was my.
Something-
1,000.
And then my other, the more fun way to do it is everybody say how many we think we're gonna get, whoever's closest to you, I'll bring you a.
Put
plate.
money in the pot. And people online can do it too.
That's when the academics don't wanna, nice, that's what I make them do in my team. So yeah, okay.
Okay,
All right,
That's
so
awesome.
we're ready.
we're ready. Yeah.
So you will give Ricky the go-ahead and the postcards will go
That
out.
would be a really high response rate.
Well, they got 1,500 on the town meeting.
Yeah,
And Lexington got 1,400.
there was a
There's a lot.
7%, it's a 7% response rate. in
And
Lexington.
also
That's why,
Lexington has a lot more
that's why I
people.
say
I know,
that.
yeah.
7% is not bad.
7%, how many households do we
They're
have?
bigger than we are.
Wait,
Yeah, exactly. So how many households?
6,000
So that would be 420. I guess that's why I'm saying.
but
7%
but is
response
that
rate times
households
6.
like renters and homeowners households?
No, that's only
Yes.
homeowners.
So there you go.
So anyway,
I guess a
units.
1,000 might be high.
Denominator's not right.
7,000 of the housing production surveys, if you conclude rental units, it's
Uh-huh.
around 7,000. So
7,000.
7,000,
That'd be 490 if we got a 7% response rate.
Mhm.
and I'm hoping we get double that. Yeah.
I think assuming that we get it double it, I don't think that'll, I think 1,000's a bit high, but anyways.
We'll
All
see.
right, we'll see, indeed.
I mean, it's, and then we will ask Shannon to help with that, At what level have we overanalyzed because the sample size is too small? I mean, that's always a question.
Yeah, and.
We can do that.
Well, and Ellen's already gotten questions about how will we know how representative
Yeah.
the responses are.
It's, yeah, I mean, it's
There's no
self,
way to control that.
no,
No.
it's self-reported. And I think one of the things you can look at the, demographics we have and map to it, but also remember, we've got two questions that could be really interesting. Level of support for the RTE. If we get only extremes,
Mhm.
you get a problem. We should just be aware of that. If we have extremes with the question of, do you support redistribution of property taxes for low-income households? Also a question to look at. So if those, if questions, I think everyone will have an opinion about how you might say, how you might think about representativeness, but it's not, no survey is.
But there's no way to
representative.
map that against the sample, the population. What we can map against the population is home values.
Yeah, whatever demographics we have. we can.
Demographic
We
data.
We
can
can
map
say we're
demographics.
super underrepresented in young people,
Yeah.
but we know we have
And-
young people in
but
town, or
when we did the-
people took the survey, or whatever.
Yeah.
When we did the qualitative,
Yeah.
right, we did the same thing.
I think we show various segments, and we'll be able to say roughly what portion of Concord each segment represents,
Right,
right? So people under X age with house values of Y
I
represent
mean,
N
if we only
percent
get
Concord.
3 people under the age of 35,
Yeah.
then it's gonna be hard to say much about that
Yes.
group.
Yes,
But if we
exactly,
get
that's what I'm
20,
saying.
then we can
Yeah,
start to
you
say,
want bigger
small group, but here's what they're saying.
to your point on monitoring over time, if we've got 3 under 40, then you can push your friends.
You, no, oh, I know, we talked, I forgot.
But I'm gonna put it on Concord
We-
Family Network, I'm gonna put it on.
Right, we
bunch
talked
of
about the
people. Yeah.
PTGs.
Yes,
So there's a good thing, if we don't have a lot of younger folks, we should ask the PTGs,
Yeah.
we need to hear your voice, so there's a great
yeah.
Mhm.
way.
And
In
of-
fact,
those
Shannon, if
people
you could
aren't-
draft a message.
I was gonna say PTG people though aren't by and large in their thirties.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
You need like the preschools for people who are in their
Okay,
30s.
preschool.
I
There-
mean, just to be obvious statement, like most
Yeah, I think
people-
we have somebody who
if
knows
the kid is
preschool.
5, you're
Yeah.
more likely to be 40 than 30.
Yeah.
Okay, so
In
Concord
Concord.
preschool.
Yeah,
Okay,
bunch of the preschools.
Milldam, okay.
Yeah.
But
no, they-
Anna, would you be willing to draft a message that we should be sending, and then we'll figure out how to get it? to
Yeah,
those
yeah,
different
Concord Family Network
communities.
has a lot of young people.
Oh, that's good, okay.
Yeah,
Concord
perfect.
Family Network, they don't even know about.
So while we're talking about marketing or raising awareness, I did circulate what I think is the final draft of the Concord Bridge article, guest column, sorry. Were there any comments? You've seen a slightly different version?
I had a couple small, I think they're small things.
Go ahead.
So one is, it says renters do not benefit unless, this is in the first paragraph. Renters do not benefit unless a landlord living in the same property chooses to pass the benefit to tenants. Which is true. But I would also say that the inverse is true. If we're gonna make that point, we should say renters would be hurt if landlords pass the cost along. Cause what we're saying is that
Say that again?
renters would be hurt if landlords pass their costs along. So we're making the point that renters could benefit if landlords living in the same property choose to pass the benefit.
So let's
To
say it in a
benefit-
positive light.
No, I'm
You're
saying
saying
the
present-
opposite is also true. The opposite is also true. This is true. Renters do not benefit unless a landlord living in the same property chooses to pass the benefit to tenants, true. But
And-
benefits would be hurt,
Could be.
could be hurt if landlords pass the cost along, or would be hurt if they pass the cost along. Either one works.
You could say inversely, if you wanna, because inversely renters would be hurt, et
If,
cetera.
Yeah.
Because I think, it's true, and I've heard people say, well, it depends on the market forces, but I think pointing that out.
Yeah.
Is key.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
if, that's the if.
Yeah.
And then, I'm. If it reduces tax bills in homes assessed below 2.3 million, I'd just say RTE eligible homes assessed below 2.3 million.
Yeah.
And then I was just, I paused on, it seeks to determine how accurate and fair. And honestly, I paused heavily on fair, because I felt like that could be what's fair. And I wonder whether we should say, it seeks to determine the extent to which the RTE is achieving the objectives set by the select board.
Perfect, yeah.
Or is achieving its objective. The extent to which the RTE is
And
achieving its objective, right?
the select board did use the word fair, which I think we have sort of shied away from.
That's a scary one.
Because they specifically said fairness.
Oh, and then actually, one comma, after both libraries, comma, and the Council on Aging, I don't think we need that comma. Second to last paragraph.
I'm
It's
sorry,
an
say that
Oxford
again.
comma, it's optional.
Oh, is that-
Well,
It's an Oxford comma, it's before the and.
It's not a list, so it doesn't need a.
I believe in Oxford commas and I
Okay.
looked at
I'm
it.
with you. I'm with you, hon, I'm good.
That's so funny.
Uh,
Mhm.
Cause you misread it if it's not
It's
there.
also a thing that's, I don't want to point this out, but like it is age determinate. Younger people drop off for Oxford.
I
know,
will die on
I-
that hill.
He shoots and leaves.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, indeed. All right, so with those suggestions from John, does anyone have anything else to add?
No, but I agree with them.
I do too.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
All right, so I have noted them.
So I move that we approve the Concord Bridge guest column as edited in the meeting.
Mhm. And with,
Second.
sorry,
Second.
second,
Yes, all in
all
favor?
in favor?
Yep.
Yes. Okay then to send on to Celeste?
Yes. If that was
Those
the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their article about our
When
work
did
has
they-
not yet appeared.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I looked for it last week.
I looked for it.
I
last
know,
week.
they've not.
He said it would either be last week or this week.
Yeah.
Halloween surprise, guess what? No,
Yeah.
so maybe it will be there this
So
week.
this would be
It will not appear in the
week-
same week,
the.
maybe next week. I'll let her figure out when.
Okay.
We should do it when the postcard comes out.
We have really got to get those out then, or we have to get the hard copies printed.
well, yeah, we have to,
I'll
mean, that's
go-
what-
I'll go see Ricky.
that's
on
what
the way.
giving Ricky the thumbs up is about. And
Yeah, but
then,
I'll
yes,
just
we
bug
have to
him.
get these, as soon as he gives you the hard copies, we need to get these in place.
And the postcards.
The postcards will only take a day or two.
No, they're done.
No, I mean, in terms of mailing. Once he
No,
brings
same
them,
day.
when he brings them to the post
They'll be,
office.
he said they'll be delivered to the household the same day that he sends them to the post office.
Good grief. Wow.
Yeah, so it's same day.
I mean, our taxes hurt at work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
well, it's federal.
Yeah, God, you can't do anything else to it.
So, know, I will go
by.
by after this meeting to talk to Ricky and say it's really urgent that we get them printed at ASAP.
The hard
That's
copies.
the copies. Yeah, that's the only thing that's holding us up from saying,
Yeah, cause it would be
Go, go.
helpful to have the postcard in my house before I read the letter.
Exactly.
Versus
Yes.
read the letter and then kind of forget I read the letter.
Well, I can hold off sending this to her.
maybe hold until we absolutely know we're ready.
Okay,
If she's that quick on posting it.
I don't
Yeah.
know, has she said
it's a
like,
couple
yeah, the
weeks
minute you
maybe.
tell me I'm gonna post it, yeah,
No.
she's gonna give them, real estate
For
to.
letters, their deadline is the Sunday before publication.
right.
So I think if we want this in next Friday's
November
bridge, we
8th.
should be sure we give it to her before Sunday of this
Yeah.
week.
so that's- I don't know
Let me
what
find out about the printing,
Okay,
and it will take nothing to put those boxes out. We can
Yeah,
get it done.
yeah. And it won't be complicated to get this over to her.
No.
They may want to time that too with a story about the November 7 presentation to the league.
Right,
I don't know what Dakota's plans are at this point. I haven't talked to him.
okay.
Great. So can we talk for a few minutes about the effective governance training? Rich and I were both present on that beautiful Saturday morning. The recording, the link to the recording on YouTube was sent to everyone. If you've had a chance, you know how efficient and productive that was.
Yeah,
We did
confusing.
not, as planned, have breakout sessions.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Because the general discussion and Q and A, they took questions, as you saw, as we went along. And so it just got too long. And some of us were anxious to go to other events on Saturday.
Right.
So I'm just gonna read off a couple of my notes and then Rich and anyone else, chime in. First thing on the agendas, I had been putting other business as a final item on our agenda. Mark prefers, the select board prefers for future discussion. Because
Okay.
other business doesn't tell the public what you'll talk about in this meeting, but for future discussion means it will appear on
Oh,
an
I see.
agenda in a
Oh.
future meeting, and therefore the public has a heads up.
Oh,
So that's the wording that's preferred. There was a discussion about if the meeting location changes at the last minute, what to do about it. Update the agenda as soon as possible, post a physical sign downstairs and tell people where to go. Ask the town clerk's office to send out a message. That isn't normally our issue, these days. Now, I wrote down, meeting packets should be posted by all committees for public access, ideally to our website, to our committee website. So that would be a PDF of the things that get sent around and they could put up there with today's date. Alternatively, or in addition, one could append these things to the meeting minutes. And as long as they're Word files, that's easy to do, but I
Yeah.
know a month or two ago, we had an Excel file and I didn't know how to append that to the minutes. I just sent the minutes in. We haven't yet been appending anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But you're putting them on the website. So
We
it
have
doesn't
not,
matter?
we
No.
have not been putting things on the website till now.
We have only put the final documents on the
Reference
website,
documents.
which is, no, final, like the only thing that's on the website under dates right now is the select board presentation, because that was finalized.
Mhm.
Everything else is not, and has
I
not
mean, the
been posted.
charge is up there,
The charge, yeah, but I'm saying, meeting deliberations.
right?
Results, the only thing that's been put on is the select board presentation.
But like the select board, every week, every week, their meeting packet is posted.
Right.
So anybody who wants to follow along can. So that should be our practice. Kristen has asked that we specifically instruct her so that she knows what to get posted.
So I thought that they said you didn't necessarily have to do that, but I think it's kind of like, what do we think is the practice we want to follow? And to take the whole meeting packet, being sure, be good if not just the file name, but the title, say draft. So like if you create a PDF, you'll lose the file name.
Right.
So if it is blah, 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 and then it's PDF, maybe you say, I don't know, Concord Bridge, column draft. That sort of thing.
But I mean, I've been putting watermarks on things.
Okay, however we do it, as long as it's obvious
Yeah.
that it's a draft, and if it's final, it can say final.
Right.
Okay, we can do that. I can tell Kristen that what goes in the meeting packet, we will CC her and tell, please PDF this as a continuous stream with the meeting, the minutes that are draft and everything else, and post it under the meeting date.
Yeah.
Then it's complete.
Okay.
Okay.
In terms of approved minutes, you're supposed to put the date the minutes
Mhm.
are approved. So that's for you and me as we
Okay.
finalize and send them into the town clerk's office. The really sticky part, well, there were two really sticky parts for me. One was about emails and one was about report writing.
Mhm.
Emails among a sub-quorum are not as charged, but anything that goes to a quorum or the full membership should not include any deliberations. You may talk about schedules, you may suggest a topic for an agenda. She even said you may talk about social events, which
Oh, yeah. great.
confused me
Okay.
because I thought we weren't allowed to socialize as a quorum.
Anything you
Right.
want, anything going on in your personal life, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, but more importantly, all our emails are
Yeah.
potentially subject to public records requests. Should someone want to follow what we've been talking about? And so, be aware that our emails cannot be about business, cannot include
Mhm.
any
You could
deliberations.
probably send a PDF of anything, this is interesting, I want everyone to see it.
Mhm.
Something from, I don't know,
As
some,
long as we then don't discuss, oh yeah.
yeah,
you
yeah,
notice-
just, you can't, you're not supposed to say, here's a report, and I think it's great because.
Mhm.
You say, here's a report.
I could email that to you, Ellen.
You can email to
I
any,
could email it to you and Lynn. I just
we've
couldn't
done-
email to you, Lynn, and
Yeah, so
Okay.
we have, the three of us talked about, okay, a question wording, so it's just three and it's okay, and it was like, Shannon, expert, question, survey person, what's the best wording? So that's okay, but if we pulled in one other person, not good.
Well, my takeaway from that was even if you're discussing substantive stuff, even if it's going back and forth between two committee members, the safe thing to do is to simply copy Kristen and then it gets in the town's file and you don't have to worry about the fact that you clean out your personal mailbox once a month. It's on the record. So that nobody can claim that, you destroyed anything related to the committee. Stuff like, should we meet Thursday or Friday, that you can do on your personal email and don't have to create a record of it. But what I took away is if John and I are going back and forth on, shall we run the ACS this way or that way? Then we should be copying Kristen and, then nobody can question the people who ran that analysis somehow or other hid something from the public.
And there were two different directions. One was to copy your staff person, the other was to copy town clerk
Clerk,
at
yeah.
concordmass.gov.
Should we agree on doing one or the other?
So the only concern with, I mean, didn't ask Kristen this, but I wondered if she got a million emails from us.
Hmm.
It's, and somewhere buried in that is, can you please download the Excel file? Whether,
Which one does she have to read and which one? does she?
yeah, so that's why I thought the town clerk
Do we
was,
want to ask her?
I'll ask her.
Ask her, how she,
Okay.
it's
So could,
probably the standard protocol
she
now.
may also, like the way that we send emails with an ask in it, for example, like we could title ask or what, like you
Yeah, I
can
know, but
write
it's
something
just
in
in
the
the
first
subject.
letters in
Yeah,
the
we could
subject.
do that.
If that's helpful to her, I don't know, like
I'll ask her.
my boss likes that if we
Yeah.
end up
Mhm.
copying her on a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like-
because you get so many
Yeah.
emails in a day.
So if that's her preference, I'm not saying we should
I'll ask her, which
dictate
is,
her preference, but to give her, we're flexible.
but she's also does the, the town manager, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah,
she's
I-
got a lot going on, so I'll ask her what she prefer.
I took that more as like a CYA so that you don't have to worry about your own personal, like, I
Right,
don't think it's
exactly.
required, but
if I
like, then if it's
email
on
if
there.
she
if
CC'd
it-
on everything, will
Then,
she know that,
right.
ignore it, it's for a records request versus Kristen, I need this tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's,
So sub-quorum work by members represents a gray area, and even Kari, the town clerk, was uncomfortable as to how to advise us. If the two of you are downloading ACS data and working on it together, that requires an announcement. Public meeting announcement, yeah.
Okay,
that's what blew me away.
Yeah, it was really confusing.
Yeah,
So
it's funny 'cause
I didn't like it.
that is
Yeah,
extreme.
it makes it-
Yeah,
I didn't quite take it away that way, and maybe this is from my experience with 2229 Main. If one person is in charge and then wants to talk to somebody else about it, I think our only obligation is to make the emails part of the record. So, if Ellen or John takes a lead on the ACS and I want to kibitz, I don't think that's a public meeting as long as it's just the two of us. But the emails that go back and forth. I know we did that with 2229 Main. There was a point person, say, for interviewing developers, but it would usually be two of us. And there was a record of all those meetings, but we didn't have to make it a public meeting. So I think the discussion between two members is safe as long as any email traffic is, in the record.
Cause if you have to make it a public meeting, then you have to post an agenda 72
Yeah,
hours
right.
before and you have,
How
I
can
mean,
you,
how can
if
you
you're
get
sitting there
anything done
playing
at
with,
all?
playing with the
We can edit
database,
Ever,
how can you even know,
yeah.
what the agenda is.
Right.
And when
And also, I think you have to report back here, so if you two download and like work on it. If you're gonna opinion about it, you should probably
No,
CC the
then
person,
we're
but then
gonna
you have
come
to
back.
report
Yeah.
here,
Or if,
then it's public record anyway.
if we're not agreeing, we wanna come back and have everybody weigh in on analysis A versus analysis B. That becomes.
So I think
public meeting.
one approach you could do is to, whoever's the point person, look at the data and propose a whole set of like a research process.
yeah.
Here's what here are the questions, here's the analysis, here's the queries, as much detail as possible. Dump it, whether you just put it into a public meeting and how much detail, people want to discuss it, then come back and present it. And that's what's, so that the execution's done offline, but as much as transparency as possible. So if an analysis doesn't work, you don't have to waste time in the committee to present something that isn't useful.
Yeah, and I mean, for the ACS, we already have,
You've got that already.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we'll probably fiddle with it, but we've got a document
Yeah,
on the record that says.
That's actually what I mean. So I think that's a good model. When you
Yeah, I agree.
propose what the query would be
Yeah.
to the,
So the data have come in.
No.
no, we have a document.
All right, that's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
thought.
No, we have a document that says these are the cuts that we
Got
wanna
it.
do.
yeah.
It's just, yeah.
So the same sort of thing, but it would be
That's,
to the whoever's a point person in-house for the Excel.
Mhm.
Um,
When we
I
get
know.
sorted bag or
But-
whatever.
I mean, between, let's say we get it all January, February, that's 3 months times what for, we have so few meetings that we really have to do a lot of stuff off.
Yeah, we might need some
More
interim
meetings.
ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We might.
Interims or, something that cuts to the chase of like, what are we really trying to figure out?
Well, and this leads me into the next topic, which is report writing. We already knew that we can't use Microsoft Teams or Google Docs to do a report of this nature. We'll get to that draft outline in a moment, but the idea is, in my mind anyway, is that each of us will be responsible for one section of the report. And one of us, hopefully me, if my parents calm down, one of us will compile everything. And then we'll discuss it in open meeting. Another person at the training the other day said, we've actually had public meetings where we just edit our document online.
my God.
No,
I
thank
know.
you.
Oh, I think I'll call myself.
There, I mean,
Yeah.
again, this is my experience from 2220.
Yeah, please.
Well, we did, when a draft first came in, we would discuss it and say, oh, you left this out, you left that out. I don't really like that.
Like conceptually, not
Yeah,
like,
right,
please
yeah.
use the word.
But
and
then when
instead
it got to, editing
of Oxford commas.
grammar or clarity and that sort of thing, what we would do is the author would it's okay to write to the author and say, I think you should use term X rather than term Y. The author then compiles all,
I see.
CCing Kristen during this.
yeah, CC Kristen. And then
Poor
the
girl.
author compiles all the changes, maybe doesn't agree with a few.
Sure, and leave
And
them out.
then it comes back and, if there's really a divide on the committee between saying X and saying Y, you fight that out publicly. But the detailed textual stuff is done by simply sending your markup to the author of the section
Sure.
and having them,
Mhm.
make the changes.
Okay.
Okay.
Because otherwise it becomes.
That's.
That's a
yeah,
nightmare.
I mean, it would be
I mean,
crazy.
it's bad enough, but from dealing with peer review comments.
I mean, yeah, reviewer too, right? I mean, just like, yeah, it's bad enough.
What other things jumped out at you guys who actually watched the video or sat there too?
That, I mean, I kind of, in Lori's comment to have the staff person do the analysis. We have to do the analysis, we have to do the writing, so figuring out a way to go back and forth without killing ourselves with too many meetings and long meetings. And having, I like the idea if you own the final writing, also making it sound like it's coming from one voice
Right.
is also gonna be part of that. And so that's, somebody has to own the whole
Mhm.
flow.
Mhm.
Hopefully it's not too long.
Yeah,
All right.
makes it really complicated,
It sure does.
but you gotta, I don't know.
I mean, the clerk
can
admitted
only do
that.
what you
She
can
said,
do.
the wheels grind slowly in the interest of having full public
Right.
Yeah, and the
participation.
problem is that the model is one where there is a staff that does
Yeah,
the
right.
analysis.
Yeah.
And then the public meeting is, do you accept the staff's analysis? Do you send the fact?
Right.
But we don't have staff to do it. We're doing the analysis.
Well, we have staff, but I think it's unreasonable
yeah,
to
but
ask the staff to do.
We can't ask them to do the kind of thing that we're planning to do.
Yeah.
I mean, town just isn't budgeted. for it.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so
All right,
awareness
sounds
has
good.
been raised. Thank you. In terms of communications, we have received from Kristen forwarded emails from 2 Concord Green
Right.
residents. Somebody must be drumming up support for the RTE
Yeah.
at Concord Green. One
Good
person
reason.
writes, the RTE for Concord Green gives some income diversity to the town of Concord without adding strain to the school system. Another person wrote, to the Concord Select Board, I raised my 3 children here in Concord as a single working parent. My children made friends here with all kinds of families, some like ours. Times change and I fear that Concord is becoming a town for the wealthy. I now live at Concord Green, where many of us live on fixed incomes. Please think about those of us who live on modest real estate and love our town.
That's why we're here.
We
Yep,
have to analyze.
That is
Their
indeed,
charge.
Fill out the survey.
exactly.
Exactly, that's the message. Please fill out, everyone fill out.
Now, I'm not suggesting we respond to these,
No, we
right?
just need, I
Does
think we-
someone respond to them saying, we got your email?
I
Like,
don't know.
those
I
went to
think
the
it's-
select board, so I don't
Okay.
know, they would have
Did
to
those-
respond. Right? Did they
One
go
went
to-
to Kristen and one went to the select.
I think they came initially to the select board.
Well, one definitely said.
I think we ought to respond and simply say, thank you for your,
Yeah.
please fill out the survey.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
Oh,
that's
that's
how
a
we're
great
actually
idea.
gonna-
Okay.
I agree. I think if you are. If you take the time to write an email to someone and you think
Yeah.
it dies in a void, why would you ever participate in anything again? Like, why would you keep doing it?
Mhm.
At least hearing from someone saying, we, thank you for your email. We appreciate feedback, and this is a channel that we're hoping to get even more.
And please encourage your
Yeah.
friends and neighbors.
Yeah,
to
it sounds
fill
like
it out.
a lot of people come.
Encourage everybody in Concord Cave to fill out this.
Exactly. All right, that's it for chair's report, unless Ellen, you had other things?
No, nothing is fine.
All right, so then moving on to what the agenda calls working session. First item is to talk about the draft presentation compiled by Ellen, Rich, and myself for the League of Women Voters presentation that takes place a week from today. Wendy gave us comments on the slides. I believe you or I incorporated those
Yeah.
changes.
So Wendy is doing the ones that have to do with why is it's like for the next, their RTE and the tax relief evaluation task force charge.
Mhm.
Then I do the, how does it work down to the 2x2 graph and fill out the survey. And then Lynn takes over on kind of work back up and say, let's look back at the RTE and the other options, and then Rich talks
Sorry,
about.
do I start at advantages?
Yes.
Okay,
So you're like, okay, here's the whole portfolio of products, of tax relief programs we have to work with.
right.
And here's the RTE and then so on and so forth with the other ones.
So
And then-
I will speak through what is currently slide 18, experience of other towns.
Yes,
And then Rich, you come in talking about affordable housing.
and during all this, Diane Proctor is the moderator, and at the end, we can, if we want, give her questions. You know, that we might want to as prompts for the Q and A.
Mhm.
And then she will, which I think she'd appreciate, because then she'll have some to ask. And then wait for the audience to come up and to take a microphone. People have been at the first Fridays before. She'll have a microphone that she walks through the audience and ask people to ask questions directly. And she will either direct the question to one of the panelists or just wait for the panelists to kind of go, I'll answer that, or then I'll answer that.
Sure. And we're speaking for about 45? and then-
45 to 50 minutes with a half an hour reserved for Q and A.
Okay.
I don't think we'll take that long. And the more my point of view, the more Q and A there is, the better.
Sure.
I really would like to hear from folks.
So, this is not related to the slide specifically, but on slide 13, I quote the 89% of Concord residences are assessed at less than 2.3 million.
Right.
Mhm.
I know you and I have looked at the assessor database, which is complicated to parse through because you need to really be sure you understand the codes for the different units
Right.
in them.
I've done
I'd
that.
really like a distribution, a histogram
I've got it.
showing.
Page 7,
Slides, and-
slide 7. So
Well, yes, that's the
that's a
same.
pie chart. And you can do it,
I'd really like to show how. In more detail. I'd like a histogram, but not necessarily for this, but for our data analysis that goes in.
oh, absolutely.
I think
There's
it's
the,
important.
yeah, it's, I think I actually might even. We could do a histogram. So on slide 28, it's, I don't know, I mean, something like slide 28, which I've already done with the assessor's database. This is the percentage people who applied for the RTE, but I also have quote unquote eligible parcels, which is a guesstimate.
Mhm.
And it would be nice to add to a histogram, another piece that has to do with, maybe it's just a point in time, number of rental units. We don't know number of secondary homes. We don't know number of people who do not or are not eligible, because the only way the assessor knows that if somebody applies and fails.
Yeah, because they bought their house earlier this year or something, right?
Or, so in other words, we don't know of the X thousand rental, I mean, I think it's 7 in the housing production family, says something like 7,000
Total.
housing units, and 1,000, 6,000 are primary homes, 1,000 are rental units, and who knows about secondaries? In other words, it's a little bit, the total universe is not defined. Exactly. But we have some reasonable ideas, but I could do that easily.
All right. Good. John, then you had a suggestion about a slide you'd like to add.
Yeah, and actually I had some comments.
Can you
earlier.
distribute it to everybody?
Do you want me to go through the comments I have
Why
before
don't
that slide?
we
or-
display it, maybe. that's
Sorry, I
what-
have comments before we get. to
Sure, go ahead.
like on
So
slide 10
maybe
as
it's
an
like,
example.
how many comments, what comments we have on the presentation?
Yeah,
itself?
yeah, exactly. Okay, so slide 10. Council on Aging advises seniors. That falls under what has been the RT impact in our agenda. And it's not clear to me that that is tied to what the RT impact has been. So I don't know if we need a different agenda item or.
Say that again?
If you look at slide 10.
Yep.
Slide 10 is on Council on Aging advises seniors, right? And that falls under what has been the RT impact in the agenda. If I'm following your agenda, right, with the slides, and I just don't see how that's really,
Well, maybe the
This-
agenda needs to be.
or
the-
we update the agenda.
Yeah.
I'm just looking, I was just looking, I was watching for parallels
Oh, you're good.
in the slides to make sure that we can follow, to make sure follow. Cause that, again, it's not clear, to me. I was thinking this, I was like, okay, that's really good that the Council on Aging does that.
So can we add another bullet perhaps that says,
The Council on Aging?
No, there's two things. One is the qualitative interviews.
Sorry, I'm looking at slide 10.
All right, one is the qualitative interviews. So slide 9 is
Yeah,
the,
Wendy told me
soon to
she
be
took
20
a lot of
interviews
time.
and the real estate comments, and Abby had a specific comment about what to put in for the real estate.
I'm talking about slide 10.
No, I'm saying things that don't fit in with what is the impact of the RTE. Although finding some interview was bad, the Council on Aging, you could put in, and this was one of the comments would relate to the RTE. Is that Council on Aging thought the RTE was an important addition to the senior portfolio.
I understand that loosely under RTE impact.
It's, it was hard to figure out.
I don't, the Council on Aging advises seniors, that this, nowhere here does it say anything about RT. This doesn't.
No, I'm saying what was left out.
Okay, then maybe we should add that to the prior slide. I guess I mean, it doesn't matter that much. I'm just saying that it's not clear to me
Maybe-
why this
okay.
slide is here.
So
That's it.
maybe that needs a new title.
Or
or-
change the agenda.
Well, it's the only,
All right, noted. We'll figure
Yeah,
out.
it
Okay,
doesn't,
we'll figure
it's
it out.
not, it's
No, I
not
got
that, it's just,
you're just saying it doesn't flow.
yeah, it's not clear why it's there.
Yeah. Okay.
Then slide 11. I think the second bullet should be when combined with impact on renters. Does the RT work as designed? Cause this slide is standing on its own right now and is just relevant for primary owners. We need to highlight the fact that we're also gonna consider.
No, but that's how it's, okay, I'm gonna push back on that.
Okay.
The RTE is specifically designed, I'm not saying this is great, it's only primary homes. And so that's why it's worded that way. I think it's important, and maybe it needs to be really emphasized somewhere before we get to the point that renters, do we have this in here, that renters are not included?
Yes, slide
But
14.
if we look at the
No, before
effectiveness
we
of the
get-
RTE, if we're looking at the effectiveness of the RTE, I wanna look at the,
Two,
sorry, one second.
okay,
If we're looking at the effectiveness of the RTE, I'm considering that to be the effectiveness of the RTE in achieving its objectives. Right? And
Which is-
that includes renters. That's all residents. It's not just homeowners. Are we achieving what we're trying to do?
Are we
which is-
providing some measure of property tax relief to all?
Yeah.
Are we making,
Residents.
I forget what the exact charge is, but are we making it for elderly and lower income? It's not
yeah,
primary homeowners, it's
No,
elderly
get
and
that.
lower income. So therefore, if we're saying, how will we measure RT effectiveness? It can't be driven by
So we
what,
can have-
because honestly, the answer to this question might be
okay,
different.
let me respond, because I had a hard time with knowing how to put the title in.
Yeah.
Because it could be, is the RTE fair? Okay, that was one possible, but we weren't using the word fair. It's how do we measure RTE effectiveness for primary, for
I guess
primary
my
households?
point is that that's not how we're gonna determine whether the RT is effective or not. It's not just, is it effective for primary
I
homeowners?
Okay,
think the
does
question, does
the
it work
art-
as
maybe-
designed?
Maybe it's like, the title should be, does the RTE work as designed? Okay?
That works well, and then
Let's
we
make
need to
that the
say,
title.
yeah, does RT work? Okay, then summary on here, because what this chart, everything on this slide here works for primary homeowners.
Exactly, and the word, and the voiceover on this is, remember This does not include renters. This does not include secondary
Yeah.
homes. We're talking.
So you
about
should put that.
primary.
Why don't
on
we,
here.
yeah, rather
Add
than
it
voice over, I think that's a,
point and do
Okay.
exactly
to me,
what
this
you
is a
said.
this whole renters thing is obviously critical from my perspective.
I know
Do
that.
we
I know that.
need 14, which talks about all the gaps? Or does 14 come right after, slide 11? I think if it comes right after 11 and you
Or it
talked-
comes before. I mean, you got a funnel. The first part is everybody who lives in Concord, renters and homeowners. That's who we're surveying. Who are we surveying? Renters and
You want
homeowners.
residents,
Yeah, yeah,
residents
yeah,
of,
yeah, but
residents of
let me
Concord who,
Finish.
yeah,
Just let me
okay.
finish, okay? So the big funnel is who are we trying to survey? And we make a big deal about homeowners and renters. So before we get to a 2x2, and actually we say council on aging, we can, pop back up, and I'll have to think about how to say this will make sense, to maybe it's a Venn diagram, maybe it's a bar, a pie that has homeowners, renters, and then say,
Homeowners, primary homeowners.
yeah, something that's I don't know if I can make it a pie because I'm not sure I
No, I
wrote,
like
We
that.
have
no,
none of the
diagram.
numbers, right?
but I don't know the number.
It can
But if I
always
had
suggest
buckets,
Right.
that
Yeah.
was something, you've got something like this. And just pretend I could figure out, the numbers. This is 6K and this is primary homes.
Mhm.
Sorry, Emily. And this is 1K, this is my guesstimate, this is renters. And this is question mark secondary.
Hmm. I-
Okay, complex. And I say,
RTA's here.
No.
only.
that's my chart, only this. You
Okay,
see
but
what I'm saying?
that's an important chart, but that chart does not tell me whether or not the RT is effective or not.
I can just say, for, how does it work? I'm not gonna say effective, I'm gonna say.
Oh, I was
how
just
does-
talking about this slide.
No, you're not saying the same, John. I'm saying, okay. This slide now says, how does RTE work? Here's the context. Here's the universe of people we're serving.
Mhm.
Okay. Who? Oh, wait, can't say survey because we haven't talked about the survey. Understand. I know, whatever that word is, talk about. And it's this kind of a diagram that says, we're talking about this part, and I can't do a pie because I can't
You don't know what
quantify.
yours-
it. And then I say, okay, now we're gonna talk about primary homes. The next one will just simply say, rather than how we measure, how does the RT work as designed for primary?
But
homes?
that does. Okay, you just, but they say for primary homeowners, but then that's, to me, pretty different from, that's a huge caveat for primary homeowners.
I've
Caveat.
already
Yeah, that's not-
got it.
Well,
It's not gonna be
well, then I would just ask that we not say, does the RTE work for our primary homeowners? I
Fine.
would just, because, all right, we can leave it as that,
No.
but because that's like, does something work with a with a part of the equation, but not all the equation, because.
That's the first
That's what it's
issue.
targeting.
All right,
The
so-
second issue.
Okay, so wait a
Then let's
minute,
have-
John, just bear with me, right
Yes, sure.
here, 7,000, that's in the Concord housing production
Yeah,
plan.
totally.
So 6
That would
out
be-
of 7 ain't bad, I'm just saying,
Oh, okay.
we're peeling the onion and we're saying, this is not perfect, we can say every single time, this is what we can
Let's have
do.
a slide on that,
It's not-
on the renters, and after this, it talks about how we're gonna analyze them. Cause this one talks about how we're gonna analyze the primary homeowners, we should have a slide on the renters, and, cause those renters represent 40% of our housing burdened people in Concord.
You are making so many conclusions, I mean.
No, I'm not,
No,
this is
we're
fact.
talking about demographics here, not what
Yeah, I'm
the
just.
impact is. So I'm saying that if we say there's 7,000 housing units,
Mhm.
now I'm gonna talk about 6,000.
Yeah.
And I think a critical thing is that the RTE, the design is that it's transferring income of taxes from here to here.
Yeah.
And we're assuming that this and this represent all of Concord. It doesn't. And so if this was a null set, we'd be fine, but it's not. And so all I'm saying in this one is here's a key thing, it's what Lexington did,
Mhm.
right? And so then we stop and say, we don't know the conclusion, but this is what we're doing. And by the way, the only way we can get this information is from a survey,
Yeah, I agree with you.
okay?
I agree with you,
So
but
John-
I agree with you. But so update this slide for that,
Sure.
right? And then what I would say is if we're gonna have a slide on how we're gonna analyze primary homeowners, we should also have a slide on how we're gonna do the analysis
Who
from
would do that?
renters. Well, we've got some of the data that we can talk about in a
No,
moment.
But
And
we
we'll
don't
get the
have-
data from we'll get the data from survey as an example, like, and we're gonna do land interviews with
Yeah, 'cause we're
landlords, I
not
think
gonna
we
know
talked
the
about.
numbers.
So or we can just put and account for renters somewhere.
Maybe, I don't know how you do it in an analogous way.
It won't be
Yeah,
the same, it won't be analogous,
Yeah,
it won't be
that.
analogous, no, but it'll be how you analyze impact of the RT on renters.
I think
Also-
it's safe to say that for now, most of the renters do not receive a benefit.
No, well, we
That's-
can,
that's-
do you want, would you be unhappy if we didn't have a slide that said, okay, here's primary, now renters, and say TBD, a lot of this is CBD.
Or, yeah, exactly, this is how we're planning to, that's all, that's my only point, I don't want people to conclude that this on its own is gonna drive the answer. And so if we have a slide that
That's
also
why
cuts,
the next one
will be
is
renters.
survey.
No, the next one should be renters. If we're gonna have one on primary homeowners, we should have one on renters, that's my only point.
Even if it's
I
one
think
sentence.
I disagree a bit here. I mean, yes, we have to look at renters, but let's face it, that's not really the driving force behind the adoption of the RTE. It was really homeowners. paying
Right, this is a
taxes.
conceptual argument, not a
Yeah,
data
and
argument.
I
Yeah.
think it's important for us to bring it up and say, now about renters, they're the ones. that
We can
stress.
say it over and over again, we can put it on the slides
I
that
mean, we
say,
have a whole slide that includes the, who is missed. And it says the last point, rental properties, and I think the
This
figure's
is, to
26,
me,
not
this is
28.
conceptual, it's like. We can ascertain what percentage of renters there are, which we have 28%, and we can ascertain the burden that the renters experience. But fundamentally, that number is not gonna solve the problem, because you could conceptually agree, what no matter what the number is, it could be 2% or it could be 98%. I could still decide that the people that I want to, the tool of all the tools we have, the tool that is most effective to redistribute tax income is this one, even though it doesn't help our renters. Conceptually, you could make that argument. You
Yeah.
also could make your argument saying, you know what, of all the tools there are, this tool is not the best tool
Mhm.
because it leaves out renters.
Mhm.
But in my perspective, there is no number that is going to get you at that answer.
Well, we can talk about that, let's talk
That's
about
what
how
I'm
we
saying,
get to
like, but
that.
I think.
I don't agree with that. I think you
conceptually,
can.
I think. it's
no,
just
but
a-
I mean,
it's
you
just a
have to do it,
preference.
you have to do it in parallel, if you're gonna do
It's just
cost
preferential.
burdens, you have to know cost burden. Our survey is going to answer all these questions imperfectly, but the questions are there. We have cost burden analysis and we have them to be able to rank it.
Yes, you
There-
can just decide
How
you want.
does our survey capture the impact of increased costs on landlords on renters? It doesn't.
It doesn't, but you can
doesn't,
decide
but I'm not-
conceptually that you just don't
Okay.
care about this,
No,
and that's what
but
I'm
how can
worried
you not- How
about.
can you say, it? So to me, that's a huge assumption that you don't
Well,
care.
we.
That's 40% of our people who are cost burdened in Concord are renters, right?
28% of the people who live in Concord.
40% of the people
Wait a
who are
minute,
cost
we're
burdened in
throwing a
Concord.
lot of numbers
I mean,
around.
this is
and-
really, honestly, this is what our analysis is supposed to do. And it should be driven not, in my humble opinion, I'll just say this, not by the housing production survey, which is awesome for developing hypotheses. So hold on,
Okay,
but by our survey. And we do have data in the survey that will say what's your rent
Mhm.
and what's your income by range.
mhm.
There's cost burden percent, if you say it's more than 35%, and then we have perception. How burdened are you by your rent? And it's not yes, no, which I think is important.
Yeah.
It's a range, a little bit and a whole lot, and we give them anchors. A little
Mhm.
bit, significant means I gotta budget carefully. And really a lot means I have to delay, I don't know, purchasing a new car or, can't send my kid to private school. I mean, it wouldn't be probably the case, but
Can't. Which I have to work for over the summer.
yeah,
right?
all
Like,
kinds of
yeah.
stuff like that,
That
and I
example.
think therefore it's more nuanced. None of this stuff is accurate, because surveys are always
I agree
biased.
with you.
And
I just think
so-
you could get the same results from a survey, and you could look at it and you could look at it, and we could present the same result, but you could
Absolutely.
decide on a different policy based on the same result. And I just think we need to be clear, right? That like, that you,
Exactly.
that we may not all
Right.
agree even with the same result in front of us, because each of our personal thresholds for where the benefit versus cost is gonna be different, and
Okay,
it seems
so
very
so
obvious,
here's
but
the
I think
problem.
needs to be
We're
reinforced.
supposed to be presenting this, isn't it next? a
Next
week
Friday,
from- a week from
yeah, a
today?
week from
Tomorrow.
A
tomorrow.
week from
Today.
Halloween.
Yeah.
We're not wearing costumes. And,
It's Thursday, right?
Oh, I thought it was the Friday.
I'm
Friday.
It's Friday.
It's 31st, 35, 31, and 7.
So I'm not gonna be able to get an okay from people for what we redesigned before that.
I mean, honestly, for this slide, it doesn't bother me that much. I'm more making the point more broadly that as we move forward, the
Absolutely.
effectiveness is, this slide is actually quite wrong.
So I'm gonna say, does the RTE work as designed for primary homeowners? Okay? Because that's correct. That's, it was
That's
just,
correct.
I
That's correct.
can't tell you how hard it was to figure out a title for this that didn't kind of overstate or understate. for
You were
primary.
watching any potential bias in the wording and trying to get it neutral, right?
yeah,
We-
and it was hard.
we appreciate that.
And I think that we can take frames, you can say, does the RTE cover all low-income primary owners? And go, awesome, that means we should take it. Then you could say, and this is something I've heard people say, okay, so I'm above the break even and my taxes went up 4,000. I wanna know how much of those dollars went to somebody who doesn't need it. We also, I think, can ask that. The other thing is the circuit, not the C, 41C and a half. You know, we know filing status, okay, so bear with me. There is in the senior circuit breaker, which is what all our kind of town things kind of model after. Filing status and maximum income. We're gonna get that. So we could probably hypothesize only for seniors, how many people would be covered by 41C and a half.
Mhm.
So in other words, we've got a lot of raw data that can ask.
And there's section 5.0
5.0,
for affordable rental units, which is another policy tool that we've been asked to think about.
yes.
So there are
Is that
things
just
out there.
seniors?
No,
no.
that's for anybody,
Nobody
as
else.
long as,
Okay,
as long as it's, you know, below 30% of income,
okay.
they get a break.
And there you have the problem of, will you as a renter want to give your tax data to your landlord?
Right.
And then who monitors it?
Right.
So there you've got the problem of our wonderful assessors who are incredibly efficient, right? And it's an extra burden, so who's gonna pay for the extra staff person that does that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
who's incented to collect that data is one way to think about it. If you're the landlord, why would you do it? Well, because
Goodness of
because
your heart.
yeah, because it's out of your heart, or you might benefit financially. You might choose that you're gonna keep some of it. And then if you're the tenant, you're like, why am I sharing my income with my
Exactly.
landlord? Because they're just gonna use it against me and to
Exactly.
increase the rent.
And so I think that
I think this
there
is,
is
I
a-
think this is a given where in theory, yes, but
Yeah.
I don't see how it
No,
practically
but
gets
I think
applied.
that's what we need in all of our analysis, we need to discuss, is it feasible? And feasible means, will people
Do it.
want to, will they comply? Compliance, right? That's your area. Will they comply? Like, I don't want to give my landlord my 1040. Got it. And it's all, you have to give your 1040 for the RTE. And I bet you a lot of people thought, why am I giving my income to the assessors? When all they wanted to know is, did you file that address as your tax address?
Right, as a matter of fact, they specifically.
They told
said
you to block it out.
Block out
Oh, okay.
numbers.
Well, I
Yeah,
didn't
when
see
you,
that.
yeah,
I just-
no, when you sent it
yeah.
in, my husband and I sat and did this, and you blocked out with a Sharpie or whatever, and then attached.
But in
the
any
doc-
case, all these things are flawed because of execution, which is never perfect. It's like taxes. Who
But
says,
Rich, if you want to apply for affordable housing in town X, do you not have to provide income
you do.
information?
Yes.
I would assume you
Yeah.
do, right?
For affordable housing.
For affordable
Mhm.
housing, so for
Oh,
affordable
I see.
rentals,
okay, so it's
that,
parallel.
that
The
might,
difference is that there's an affordable housing organization that
Yeah.
looks at that.
not your
Like a
land.
government
when-
agency.
When
Oh, yeah.
when new affordable housing becomes available, you apply to be in the pool. It's, luck of the draw, but you have to get in the pool, you have to show what your income is. Yeah, so you do.
Yeah. I mean, I think in every case, we're gonna find, we know the RTE doesn't cover renters. So we should just say that and doesn't, and say therefore we have to be aware in doing all our analysis. But, this 2x2 doesn't cover renters, our survey does, and I think we should give ourselves a pat in the back for that.
Mhm, mhm.
We've done, I think, a really good
I'd
job.
like us to double check the 28% figure.
I think it's
thought
26.
I think it's 26.
think it's-
Yeah.
I think you're right, I think it's.
I double checked it, Rich.
Yeah.
Or does it-
I'll go back to the HPP.
I did that, Rich. It's 26. I saw it last
Yeah,
night.
that's what.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't mind me making another comment on this, I guess the only other thing, that, like, if for me, it's like slides 19 on them, that's not kind of our charge, so if whether I don't
It's true.
disagree,
There's a
I
history.
The
feel
league
like.
asked
Yeah.
an affordable housing person to speak on affordable housing.
So the,
Well, I
Part
think,
of the program.
I know, I guess I just look at this like, this is all from the RTE committee though.
Yeah.
So I don't know that, then maybe you have a separate set of slides from Affordable Housing Committee rather than the
oh, I see what you're saying.
RTE committee is like, how do we
So
create?
use
This is
these
not
same
our
slides,
committee.
but just like,
Just.
Oh,
take
have
my-
a new title.
I'm not
Create- or
against
Create a
it,
separate
just-
agenda,
just-
create
yeah.
2 agendas or something like that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't think that we should have that as part of our committee.
Make
'Cause that's
another
not part of
slide
our
like
committee.
this.
and then.
That's what I'm saying,
As
yeah.
a sub
So,
divider.
so maybe we stop the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The bullets on the agenda will stop after how do other tax relief, or what other tax relief programs are available. Add another title
Yeah,
slide that says housing programs.
yeah, I agree. Then it's
And-
like
Yeah,
separate
that's fine.
things.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, like
I mean,
starting
it
with
was,
18.
it
is
started
all.
off, I mean, to be honest, and Emily, you can chime in here,
Which
please.
leaves us.
But it was the league was very.
Why would
interested.
18 be us? We don't.
Because we were specifically.
Oh, sorry, you're right. I'm over here.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry, you're right. My fault.
No.
Sorry.
It happens to me every.
Don't worry, we solved.
Thank you.
It hears by the time, yeah.
I
mean, because the league is gonna have a forum, a Saturday hands-on forum. And one of the attractions of this presentation with housing at the end was it linked in, but I
Sure,
think.
I agree that,
Separate presentation makes it cleaner, and
Yes.
thank you for that, Kathy. It's-
I think it's really good
Okay.
feedback.
All right,
I have one other
so-
comment. I
Sure.
should slide 13 on advantages.
Yeah.
Last bullet. I mean, major, it really, that, I don't think we can make that point, is a major source of, because that really depends upon who it is, where they fall in the tax burden. If this person were someone who lived in a 2.3 or $2.2 million house, there wouldn't be much tax
Well, one
relief
of
at
the
all.
examples
But
of
then they
one,
didn't purchase their.
This
home.
was referring
They
back to
could, they
the
could have,
Council on
could've.
Aging examples. That's what that bullet was
Well,
meant to refer to.
but maybe just it could be then. It's not, the
Well, I mean,
RT
we show a graph.
for those
that
who purchased
says-
homes decades ago, whose home assessments have increased substantially since and now live on limited incomes, the RT is a major source of, that says it is for the
Yeah,
entire
okay,
group. That's
could be,
not true.
Could be,
Could
could
be.
be. I agree.
okay. You know, one of the people I interviewed, actually had a house they purchased for, I'm gonna make this up, 50,000 in 1980 or 70, and that wasn't 2.3, 1.5.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
that-
basically, they don't get any benefit because
Until
they're
they
in
sell.
the, 1%, couple, 100. So it's
Yeah.
like, they don't have a benefit because they really could use more money. But the RTE is designed in such a way that if you're between 1 million and 2.3, you don't get that much,
Yeah,
couple hundred.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's
there's
not true. You get more than a couple $100 if you're at $1 million.
it
No,
varies.
I'm saying, okay, 1.2.
The closer you get to the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Below-
I just know we're like, we're.
Below 1 million is
Couple hundred.
double digit, between 1 million and
Yeah.
2.3, it's single digit. It's kind of like, this isn't,
Yeah.
it's. The RTE, the math that comes out is, I wouldn't say an accident, but a result of the consequences are a result of the math, and you
Mhm.
can't look at it and go, why did you decide that? Because
We didn't
it
decide.
wasn't decided, because it
Mhm.
wouldn't work the way it does if we had the option.
This is
to
why I want to
redesign.
show a histogram of residential parcel.
I can do that.
values, Because we have such a skewed distribution,
Totally.
right? And that's what pulls the break-even point so
Yes.
much higher
Well,
up.
most, I mean.
Right, so that could be like. Actually, like a for or against, right? Like,
Yeah,
it just,
You could make
it's
your mind
too
up
high,
before you-
like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, but it
But
might not be
it's-
too high,
it's
people, but if you
Slide
see.
7
right,
says it, I can
100%.
turn it into a histogram if it's easier, but basically, it says that half of the houses are between 1 million and the break even. And you can do a histogram, but this kind of says it, it really says there are very few 652 households above the break even.
I
Those
know
are
the information is here. It's
Sure.
harder
Yeah,
to
this
see. it
graphic
this
is
way.
not as clear
Okay, I'll
because
do a histogram.
each of the bars is out of 100, right?
Exactly.
So that's a harder.
They'll be
interpretation.
There's no
distributed.
weight.
It's harder to interpret.
Say that
as
again,
a-
each of the,
Well, the bars don't add to 100 because of the type of chart it is, right?
Where are the bars?
On
These
slide
individually,
8.
she's saying these individually.
Those are.
Oh, sorry, I'm on a different slide. I did the same thing. I do it every time I give presentation to you. The,
I was like, she's on that and you're
yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
I mean, I do it every time because the labeling and
Yeah,
the,
I can do,
Yeah.
instead of a pie chart, a histogram, but I'm still gonna try to impress that most people are between 1 million and 2.3, just to kind of make it clear. And then also to say there's only 11% of people whose taxes are going up.
I know, but so like
And-
the
and
thing
that-
is that's a very big thing. So we keep saying 89% of the people below, so there's something, but 11% of the people.
No, I'm
paying
saying.
for 80%. So like the
Yeah.
people who
Well,
are of
everyone's,
that.
that's, I mean, I'm sure the assessor would disagree with that, because I've tried to think, how do you say that? It's like everybody's taxes went up because the tax rate went up 7%, but the people who
The
are not benefiting and who pay the, maybe, I don't know what the right word is, but a lot of the additional taxes, 652 out of 5,000. I think it's an important point to make, so people get it.
Mhm.
And the perfect storm was meant to say, and this is why people who live in relatively high priced houses are not pleased, because they got hit with the assessment,
That's slanted, yeah.
and so it's kind of like, think about this a little bit, and there's pros and cons.
yeah. You're asking the same people to pay a lot of things
Right.
and this.
And
is
they
the
got
same-
hit twice, and this is what Abby kept saying.
And it's such a small number. That
Yes,
was like
exactly.
40% or 30% of
11.
people, but such a small number of people are paying for
I'll do it
everybody else.
Instagram.
Well, and the other point is, and 89% are benefiting, right? That is actually not a good thing.
Well, you can say it two ways.
It could be,
Yeah.
if
It
they
could
were,
be. It could
depends
be.
on your distribution. If they all had $500,000 houses, I would argue 89%.
Yeah, but in Concord, they don't.
I know, but that's not what you said. You said 89% is not a good thing, and that's not true.
I should say it's in Concord, but
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 I
this is the
mean,
problem. This is.
Exactly, this is the
example, you can say that's wonderful or that's terrible.
But with
You know,
the same
and I
data,
can
exactly.
Exactly.
That's why
Both
it's job.
sides.
Listen,
But that's
all
what the
we're
individual-
asked to do is analyze and provide the select board with that analysis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not
exactly.
asking us to tell them what to do. So
Exactly.
we're trying to get
I
the
know.
most accurate
Yeah.
depiction of what's going on and
Yeah.
who's affected in what
Yeah.
way. And
But
let's
it's
try
like
to
when you
use-
write it, it's like, so 89% of the people are benefited, you think, oh, that's great, but then when you say 11% are paying for the rest of the 89%.
But it's
that's
not, that's
awful.
not
Right,
right.
it totally depends on how you word it.
If they were all billionaires, I wouldn't care.
Oh, no,
at all.
I know,
This is
but you don't know who
like-
those 11%
exactly,
are.
but
That's
See,
the
that's
problem.
not right, because everyone's taxes went up
Yeah.
7%. I mean, we've asked the
tax
assessor that.
rate went
Right.
No,
up.
but I'm talking about the.
To 11%.
people, like,
No, no.
The biggest. the
But if I
people who-
said, I would love the analysis, and I think we asked the assessor, and they kind of, we can't do that. Let's say we shifted, X million dollars from below the break even to above the break even. I would like to know what that dollar amount is. And I tried to. It would be nice to be able to say that. We are asking people above the break even to pay X and the people more. And I don't know if we can see.
I think, Kat, part of what I think is being said is that 11% of houses are impacted negatively by
Yes.
the RTE shift in tax rate. That's,
Exactly.
that is, I think that's what, and
I
then
don't
we
think,
can.
I don't think they're impacted negatively. I think their tax bill went up.
Their tax bill went up.
Okay.
Because
Some-
impacted negatively, there are people who pay more who may not say that they are negatively impacted. They literally might not notice, right? So.
Well, whether they notice or not is not, that's not, to
Doesn't
me,
matter.
that doesn't matter.
Negatively impacted is a value
Estimation.
judgment.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
no, negatively impacted, you can say plus or minus, that's a
You say
statement
they
of fact.
They pay more.
Or they pay less.
I think we
Much
should,
more
Okay,
neutral.
okay.
Yes, that is
Okay.
what
I
I would
think
say.
we should be stating facts and let the select board draw the
Impute
conclusion
value.
about, because they're asking this. They wanted to know.
Well, yeah,
fairness.
that's, no, I agree, and that's what I feel like, sometimes you have to state the obvious, so.
Yeah,
Stating the fact that 89%. And stating the fact that 11%, like, if you just don't even state that second fact of 11%, I know you can do the math yourself, but you gotta state all the facts so
Right.
that the select board
So
can make an
that-
opinion.
Yeah,
So
that's what this
why I want
chart
to be-
Just
7.
wanted to
Be
make it.
specific.
Okay.
Well, no, it's just, I think one question we're gonna get is, would it make any difference if it was something other than 10%? Would it push it up or down? And should we try and do a hypothetical calculation.
I think the assessor does that at the tax classification hearing. I think she shows at least two options, if not three. So they, running the numbers and showing what
Is
the
that in
impact
her-
is.
But that's what's on chart, on set.
Don't
Yeah.
we have the lowest percent you can shift?
No, 5%.
Oh, 5 is the lowest.
Yeah.
We
Five
did
is
10.
it.
Okay, I thought
We're
10
10.
What, 5 to 20?
5 to 35.
to 35. I knew the top.
Yeah.
Cause the.
And the
figures
break
are-
even doesn't change. The break even is driven by the number of people who apply.
It's the average of the eligible residential parcel values.
So if you,
Well, it
We're-
would be clearly, I mean, if you increase it, like from hundred and forty-four to 200, the lower value homes are gonna benefit even
More.
more.
Right,
Yeah.
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
It's just, it's math,
And
like
it's
there's
higher
no like
valued homes
subjectivity
will pay
about
more.
that.
And I think a lot of
Yeah,
it.
we could
if we-
easily do that, I would think,
Yeah,
we could
so
easily,
we
but.
could do, and I think it would be really useful, and then the percentage of how, what percentage is your taxes go down versus go up would be crazy. You know, you'd have people with zero taxes or negative taxes,
Well,
where
let's
you
not
have it, but
speculate
anyway,
until we run the numbers.
Yeah.
It is 9:45.
Yeah.
I know.
And
right.
I would like to move on in the agenda before we open.
Okay, so
Can I
what
go
am I-
through these, can I go through this slide?
Yeah, please,
Yeah,
please.
slide.
want-
Okay.
okay.
Yep, here we go. This is a draft. This is a slide. So we had the advantages
Can we
slide.
put it up so
I'm
Emily
going
can
to,
see it?
thank
I just
you.
wanted to have a disadvantages slide as well for the RTE. And what you have here is this one slide and then the backup data behind it, that largely comes from the housing production survey. Disadvantages, and this is draft, renters do not benefit from the RTE, which excludes about 40%. It's actually
30
42%.
31.5
No,
are
Exclude-
housing cost burden.
no.
I looked
No.
it up.
Okay,
This
so look at
morning.
the math on the next slide. Percentage of Concordians who are renters, 26% of Concordians are renters, right? Percentage of renters who are housing cost burdened, 50% of renters are housing cost burdened. Percentage of Concordians who are renters and housing cost burdened, that's 13%, right? Percentage of Concordians in total who are housing cost burdened, 31%. That's not just renters. If I then say, all right, what percentage of housing cost constrained people are renters? That's 42%. That is 13% divided by 31%. 13% of Concordians who are renters are housing cost constrained. And then and then 31% are percentage of Concordians who are cost constrained. Therefore, 42% of those people who are housing cost constrained in Concord are renters.
I think this is something that we need to get into in the final report. I don't think we get into it.
If we're gonna be presenting advantages and disadvantages to
Well,
the,
But
one
we're
second,
not-
can I finish what I'm saying?
Sure.
But if we're gonna have a slide on either I wanna remove the advantages slide. Or we have an advantage of the disadvantages slide, because this slide is as much based in fact. As anything, as much as the housing production plan is based in fact, this is based in fact.
So we tried having this slide and I called it something else. I called it who is not covered by the RTE.
I feel better about that, because that's. My concern is that we might come to the conclusion, it's too bad. We really ought to do something for the renters, but it's too complicated to do, and we can't do it. But it's still better to help some of our homeowners than not. Not everybody's gonna agree with that. But I think that is something we gotta debate when we get to the report. I just don't think putting this up here now is the right. thing to do.
Aren't these statements of facts though? Renters do not benefit from the RTE. This excludes 40% of those housing cost burden in Concord. That's a statement of fact,
I
right?
think it's okay to put a statement like that
Only 30%.
into this slide.
Yeah, only 30% of those benefiting from the RTE are housing cost constrained. That's a statement of fact. The math backing that one up is on the next slide as well. It's 29% actually, not 30%.
I don't want to get into complicated math. at the
It's,
League
we
of
don't have to
Women
get, but
Voters.
you don't have, that's just if people ask, but I would not get into the complicated math. This backup is just for us. The only 30% of those benefiting from RTE are housing cost constrained. That to me is a critical component. It's what we were talking about earlier, the 11% and 89%. That to me is a critical component. The fundamental issue is that 50% of people in 50% of renters are housing cost burdened in Concord. They do not benefit, and some would argue are potentially hurt.
Can we
And
just say
what's that?
that? Can
Yeah,
we-
well,
can
that's
we
what
just
the
say-
renters
can-
not benefit from the excluding 40% of those housing cost burden in Concord. That's the math that those are the factors I'm laying out, it's 40%. Only 30% of those benefiting from the RTE are housing cost constrained. That is also a fact. Those are numbers from the assessor's office
No, from that,
and the housing production
there,
survey.
it's housing
Yeah.
production plan, not from the.
Those are, so it's just, Ellen, I was drawing this last night.
No, no.
This is our housing cost burden. This is our efficiency and
No, I've
effectiveness,
done the
like,
same thing.
yeah,
I
so
mean-
so this is the 42%
Yeah,
of
but-
people.
My point, John, is I've done exactly the same thing, and I've done the dollars too. And it's,
What is it? Can I see yours?
no,
Oh.
because I think that's part of our analysis. I really think we're jumping the gun.
This is
It's
data.
like, hold on. I don't want people to think it doesn't matter about the survey, because we already know that the
Yeah.
RTE is bogus. And so I would rather say, let the survey do its work. We can talk about hypotheticals. I've got the same thing, but my numbers were actually higher than yours,
This
okay?
is not hypothetical. This is,
I have done the same thing, and we can sit and after, it's just, I really hesitate. I don't think we should be putting.
If we
A
knew
and B
this already,
together.
why did we survey people?
Exactly.
I haven't seen this data until the past week. I don't know why, this is all data that the select board should have seen.
The absolute number of people who are housing cost burdened in ownership properties is greater than the absolute number who are in rentals.
Do you know what
So
the
this
sample
is-
size for the ACS for Concord is? How many people are represented by the stats, right?
And they're from
That's-
twenty twenty-two.
Do you know? I
It's
thought
what's been
it was
adopted.
79.
It's what's been adopted by the town.
No, but listen, John, it's like if I got it right, when you had your staff pull the ACS, remember? It was 179 people was the end for Concord. Because I remember thinking.
Yeah,
I don't know where the housing production survey got its data from.
That's what I'm asking. Do you
I'm
know?
just saying.
From the
It's
ACS.
from the AC.
I'm
Okay, and so let me finish.
Mhm.
If it's from the ACS, then you showed by your analysis with your, I'm
I don't
going.
know, this is big, I don't know what data they used, and if that ties with the data that my person in New York pulled. So I have
John,
no idea.
In the interest of time, can we agree that we will modify the last bullet on slide 14 to include something about housing cost burden for renters?
Sure.
I'll work with your statements and we'll put a modified statement.
I disagree with including it. I just will go on the record
Just
saying.
to
I
say
don't think it
something
should.
about renters are more housing cost constrained.
Yeah,
Then
Then just say 50% of, just present what was said, that 50% of renters are cost constrained. It excludes renters of whom 50% are cost constrained, rather than coming down.
That's,
relative, how about saying relative to 26% of homeowners? 25%.
No,
That,
no.
those,
Okay.
guys, I don't
You want to
understand
give
why are we trying to ignore things that are facts? And I hear what you're saying, but the RTE is not benefiting and I think likely hurts 40% of our
Because we
housing
will
cost constrained people.
disincentivize people from completing our survey if they think
But
it's
we're
terrible
telling the
for
League of Women Voters what's pro and con.
guys, some people have to leave at 10.
Okay.
We're almost at 10. We have to stop arguing.
So I'm fine if you want to put the excluding 40% of those cost burden in Concord as the last bullet here. And then
I think you should say that includes renters, 50% of whom are cost burdened.
that is true, but I think it's important that they represent a major portion
We
of the
don't-
people we're trying to
We
help.
say that.
Where
We
does
say
it-
26% of
The peop-
residential units are rentals.
Yeah, but my point is that 20, yep,
Of whom 50% are housing cost
yes,
constrained.
which therefore represents 40% of those who are housing cost constrained in Concord. Because those two numbers on their own don't get me to the 40%. You need to look at the overall figure. My only
I
point is
do
that.
think we're doing plenty
Okay,
to talk
okay.
about renters
Yeah.
being.
Okay, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm good. The only
Okay.
other point that I wanna make is that the second bullet makes is that not only is it not hitting a lot of people that we wanna help, it's incredibly inefficient. Only 30% of the people that we wanna help are being.
That is our analysis. You're drawing a conclusion, and I think we should let the survey speak for
That's
itself.
fine, but look
Yeah,
at.
no, I got it. And this is part of the research plan that we should be developing after we get a survey. I am worried that the ACS represents 179 and it's
No,
equal
wait.
179, which is what your team got because we don't know what the end is for the housing production plan in Concord.
Let me just make one quick comment and then we can.
All right, then I'm
Okay,
getting off
that's fine.
Okay, I
Let me just, so it's not based upon the housing production plan. The simple fact that 89% of people in Concord are benefiting
Yeah.
from the RTE and 26% of homeowners in Concord are housing cost constrained. Those two
20%
facts,
are renters.
No, 26% of homeowners in Concord are housing cost constrained. That is also a fact.
burden.
Those two facts, just homeowners, 31 is the total, homeowners is 25%, right? 89% benefit,
If we
25.
can't understand this right now when you're speaking and we've been experts on this committee for 6 months and we're trying to get it done, I don't think we're gonna be able to
My-
effectively persuade people
My
in 2
point,
minutes. out of
my point is
presentation.
that, trying to make the point that this is inefficient.
That's right, and Ellen's 2x2 chart also talks about that. I don't wanna put numbers
I,
on
I'm
it yet
gonna
until.
definitely say that I'm gonna emphasize the 45-degree line and, can even say, who do you know that is, relatively high income living below the break even? And I'll say Concord Green. I mean, I think people will get it.
I guess the point is, I know people who are benefiting from the RTE who make millions of dollars a year, have a house in Boston and a house on the Cape. That's not what we want to be doing with our
Okay,
tax
and the
dollars.
other way-
That's
I do agree.
and that's the
But we
majority
have
of
until
people.
March to
Yeah.
pull that together.
But we
and
have the data now to show it. We do.
Not without the survey.
Yeah, we do. That's the housing production survey. That's.
Why are
what
we
this is.
doing the survey then, John?
I don't think we need it, but because.
All right, you just said it.
I don't think we need the survey if we want to do it off this data. We shouldn't, we had the data we needed. The
John,
select board had the data.
got it.
To make it better.
All right,
so-
thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
In the interest of time, I guess I'm going to propose, well, first of all, I can say we did reach out to the Council on Aging. They are happy to have some representation from this task force speak to a Wednesday luncheon. It hasn't been scheduled because their calendar just went out for the next
Oh, okay.
month. So we need to get back to Daniel and schedule
Okay.
that. But we are welcome to come probably in early December and talk to people. There are gaps in the activities we have done to date. We've been so focused on getting the survey
Right.
drafted, finalized, ready to go, that I would suggest in our next meeting, we
Okay, so it's-
postpone this work program deliberation for the
Got
next
it.
meeting.
Mhm.
I also sent out a very preliminary draft report outline, my vision, and we can talk about this in the next meeting.
Okay.
My vision would be each of us takes a section of the report and drafts it, and then I or someone else will compile it into a unified document. Please look at this and come prepared with report comments at the next meeting
On the outline.
on the outline.
The next meeting of which is the 13th. I'm sure it's at the bottom of the agenda, 13th.
It's at night, right?
And we agreed, yeah, I was just gonna say, we agreed to stagger, right? So the next meeting will be at 7 o'clock
7
at
o'clock.
night.
In person or all Zoom?
No, in person, and you can always attend. by
No
Zoom.
in person?
In person.
No, oh,
Yes,
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 no,
you
come
can be in
on.
person. This is why
Oxford
I'm
comma or no
Oxford.
Oxford comma?
Yes, people will be in
It will
person.
be
Thank
a
you. I
hybrid
would-
meeting.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes,
That's the
absolutely,
word I was
the
looking for.
affirmative.
Thank you.
All right,
So I can come or not.
Correct.
You'll be here.
having participated by Zoom in the last meeting, I will say it is far less satisfying than actually being here in person.
Oh, yeah, we have more fun.
Um,
when we're together.
Duking it out in real time.
Really, it's so fun.
Face to face is much more
I'm
fun.
gonna-
With that, would like to invite public comment.
Yes.
Emily, you have
Emily, any
been
comments?
quietly listening to us all this time.
By the way, Emily is the legal room voters.
Now,
Yes.
can we hear Emily?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, this has been so interesting and so eye-opening, and I'm thinking about next Friday and your presentation to the league and to the public who attend. And given the heatedness that I've just witnessed, I would really strongly encourage you to present the most, in a way, high level that you can. I think there's so much that we don't understand about the statute and the interaction between, tax increases and assessments and so forth. And really, if you could be that simple in your presentation, you
Yeah.
would get questions. Ellen had said she hoped that there would be lots of questions and that you all would allow time for those lots of questions. And I think you can learn a lot. I mean, you're not presenting your final report for several months. So there's room here, there's space. And to the degree that you solicit, that you give people the information that allows them to ask the questions that may surprise you, what people's
Mhm.
questions are. So that's my encouragement. And I look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Emily.
this.
Thank
This
you,
is going to
Emma.
be so good. It's,
I think
I
it'd
mean,
be really
particularly
interesting.
as, the select board takes it up, a couple of weeks later.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right.
They will be taking up the tax classification hearing the way they do every year, in November. Our understanding is that our report is not going to change the RTE policy for this coming town meeting. There will not be a warrant article about this, but I may be speaking prematurely. The impression we had from Wendy was that they're waiting for our analysis before they decide how to move forward.
That would make sense.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. Anything else people want to raise
I think,
before we all
yeah.
run in our various directions? If not, could I have a motion to adjourn the
I
meeting?
motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.